Most essential learning competency, the learner should be able to explain the different patterns of non-Mendelian inheritance. Gregor Mendel, father of genetics. Gregor Mendel's work in P led to our understanding of the foundational principles of inheritance. Genetics is the study of how different qualities, called traits, are passed down from parents to child. Genetics helps explain what makes you unique, why family members look alike, and why some diseases run in families. When we trace the paths of these qualities, we are following packages of information called genes. What is genetics and its importance? Genetics will be important not only to understanding the cause of a disease, but also to recognizing the manner in which an individual responds to particular therapies. Drug metabolism is itself under genetic control, and susceptibility to side effects in some cases is governed by genetic predispositions. What is a gene? A gene is the basic physical and functional unit of heredity. Genes are made up of DNA. Some genes act as instructions to make molecules called proteins. Every person has 2 copies of each gene, one inherited from each parent. An allele is a variant form of a gene. Some genes have a variety of different forms, which are located at the same position or genetic locus on a chromosome. Humans are called diploid organisms because they have 2 alleles at each genetic locus, with 1 allele inherited from each parent. For us to be able to understand our lesson, we need to recall the principle of Mendelian inheritance and connect it to our lesson. Law of segregation. The 2 alleles for each gene are placed in different gametes. Law of independent assortment. The inheritance of one gene doesn't affect the inheritance of any other gene. And law of dominance. When 2 different alleles are present, the only one is dominant and will be expressed. These are the terms that we need to define for further understanding of the lesson. Incomplete dominance, codominance, multiple alleles, pleiotropy, lethal allele, and polygenic trait. Incomplete dominance, pattern of heredity in which one allele is not completely dominant over another. In this lesson, we are going to break the rules of Gregor Mendel. Mapapansin nyo, between Mendelian genetics and non-Mendelian inheritance, parehas lang naman ang mga letters na ginamit at parehas din ang naging resulta sa offspring. Wait, parehas lang ng letters yan pero magkaiba ng kanilang phenotype. Kapag sinabing phenotype, yung physical na kaanyuan ng offspring may be the height or color. According sa law of dominance ni Gregor Mendel, kapag lahat ay may dominant trait, ang dominant ay ang capital R, which is red, flower. Therefore, ang phenotype or physical na kaanyuan ng offspring ay ang dominant trait, which is red. So, lahat sila ay kulay red. Mababaliwala ang halaga ni small r or recessive trait kahit pa present din siya sa lahat ng boxes. Mendel's law of dominance states that in a heterozygote, one trait will conceal the presence of another trait for the same characteristics. What happened to the phenotype in non-Mendelian inheritance? Dito sa incomplete dominance, hindi na tayo gagamit ng salitang dominant at recessive dahil ang phenotype dito ay ang intermediate traits. Ibig sabihin, kung ang magulang ay red at white, maaaring may maging offspring sila na hindi red or white, bagkus combination ng kanilang kulay at iyon ay ang kulay pink. Let's go back to Mendel's law of dominance. Para ma-explain ko na mabuti ang ating lesson, kailangan nating balikan ang third law ni Gregor Mendel. In this example, we will be using capital T for tall and small letter t for dwarf parent. Following the law of segregation, hindi muna tayo gagamit ng Punnett square for basic explanation. During gamete formation, the alleles for each gene segregate from each other such that each gamete formed carries only one allele for each gene. Now let us combine the gametes from the parents. Remember, in Mendel's law of genetics, capital letter represents the dominant trait and small letter is the recessive trait. Combine capital T and small t, the offspring is heterozygous tall. Next, combine capital T and small t of the other parent resulted to heterozygous tall. Same step, combine capital T and small t from the gametes of parent resulted to heterozygous tall. So the resulted offspring are all tall dahil lahat ay may dominant trait or capital T, though lahat din naman ay may recessive trait. But this law follows the power of dominance and cancel the recessive trait for first generation. Given that the offsprings from first generation are heterozygous tall, let us now cross-pollinate again using Punnett square to solve for F2 generation. Combining the dominant traits of the two parents, the offspring is homozygous tall. Homo kasi parehas na itsura ng trait and same big letters. Next, combine the capital T and small t of the parents resulted to heterozygous tall. Hetero means different kasi magkaiba ng trait, isang capital at isang small letter. Combine small t and capital T resulted to heterozygous tall. Again, hetero dahil magkaiba ng traits or ng size ng letters. Combine small letter t and small letter t resulted to homozygous dwarf. Homo dahil parehas ng traits ulit, and dwarf dahil small letter and stands for dwarf. The genotype is 1 homozygous tall, 2 heterozygous tall, and 1 homozygous dwarf. Therefore, the phenotype or the resulted appearance is 3 tall and 1 dwarf, and tallness is the dominant trait acquired. Mendel's law of dominance versus non-Mendelian inheritance. Study the work of Mendel. Again, capital letter stands for dominant and small letter stands for recessive trait. Violet flower is the dominant parent and white flower is the recessive parent. Mapapansin nyo, sa F1 generation, violet na si offspring, following the law of dominance. Sa F2 generation, the possible offsprings are 3 violet and 1 white inside the Punnett square. But kung sa non-Mendelian inheritance, walang dominant or recessive na gagamitin, bagkus yung possibility na maghalo ang kulay nila, and when we combine violet and white, the result is lavender, which is a non-Mendelian inheritance. However, non-Mendelian inheritance shows that another offspring might come without acquiring the original color from the parents, but can produce new color for the same organism. Learning Task 1, read the handout about exploring Snapdragon on page 19. Answer the questions in your activity sheet. This is the actual appearance of a Snapdragon flower, and it has red, white, and pink color. In Mendel's law of dominance, the only color that they might inherit is the dominant trait in phenotype. But in non-Mendelian inheritance, dominant trait is not a big issue because another offspring might occur in different color. In Snapdragons, there are 2 alleles for flower coding, one coding for red color and one coding for white color. When purebred red plants and purebred white plants are crossed, the resulting offspring are all blank. Let's find out. Red and white are the parents. Capital R stands for red flower, capital W stands for white flower, and capital R and W stands for pink flower. Using the Punnett square for F1 generation, what are the possible offsprings? Now let us fill in the first box, combining the gametes from the 2 parents we can get RW, and RW is a pink color based from our legend. Now let us proceed to the next box. Combining R and W is RW, and again, RW stands for color pink. Now let us proceed on the third box. Combining the red flower capital R and white flower capital W is RW, which stands for pink color. Now for the last box, let us combine again the letter R and W and we can get RW for pink color. For each box, that is equivalent to 25% of the inherited traits from the parents, and the phenotype is 100% pink flower. Now it's your turn to answer the F2 generation if we are going to cross-pollinate the parent from F1 generation, which are pink flowers. I will be giving you 1 minute or 60 seconds to solve this. Timer starts now. And the answer is 1 red flower, 2 pink flowers, and 1 white flower. And the possible offsprings are 50% pink, 25% red, and 25% white. Codominance, pattern of heredity in which both alleles are simultaneously expressed in the heterozygote. Multiple alleles, a gene that is controlled by more than 2 alleles. So we have 4 different types of rabbit. Observe their colors. For the first organism, we have black purebred rabbit. The second organism is color gray. The third is a white fur with black spot foes at nose, ears, and tail. And the last is a white fur rabbit. Notice the difference between genotype and phenotype. Kapag genotype, gumagamit ng mga letra. Ito ay usually comes in pair letters dahil ito ay nanggaling sa binigay na gamit ng bawat parent. From the word gene of genotype, kaya siya ang tinatawag na gene ng offspring. Gene naman ang sinasambit dahil ito na ngayon ang namana natin sa ating mga magulang. Ang phenotype naman ay ang pinaka-appearance ng organism at isa sa pinakamadaling description ay ang kulay. Ang kulay ang nagiging dahilan kaya nababansagan ng pangalan ang isang organism. So what is the genotype and phenotype of each organism? Let's describe them one by one. For the first organism, the genotype is capital C. Capital C with phenotype of black wild-type rabbit. For the second organism, the genotype is lowercase c with superscript ch, lowercase c with superscript ch, and the phenotype is called chinchilla. The third organism has the genotype of lowercase c with superscript h, lowercase c with superscript h, and the phenotype is called Himalayan. And for the fourth organism, the genotype is small letter c, and the phenotype is called albino. Using the given genotype, Find the F1 and F2 generation of the cross between black rabbit and chinchilla, also the cross of Himalayan and albino. Use the Punnett squares below to guide you. Using the Punnett square, let us solve for F1. With black rabbit, the genotype is capital C and capital C, and chinchilla with genotype lowercase c with superscript ch and lowercase c with superscript ch as the parents. For the first step, each parent will give one allele or gamete for each row. Black rabbit will give one capital C and another capital C. Chinchilla will give one allele or gamete for each column. Lowercase c with superscript ch and another lowercase c with superscript ch. Now, to fill in the first square, combining capital C and lowercase c with superscript ch, and that is the genotype of the first offspring. For the second square, combine capital letter C and lowercase c with superscript ch, and that is the gene of the second offspring. For the third square, combine capital letter C with lowercase c with superscript ch, and that is the genotype of the third offspring. For the fourth square, combine capital letter C and lowercase c with superscript ch. What is the genotype and phenotype of F1 generation? For every square, that is equivalent to 25%. So, ibig sabihin, sa apat na offspring, 25% ng traits na meron tayo ay namana natin sa ating mga magulang. Mapapansin nyo na pare-parehas ng genotype ang lahat ng square. So, the genotype is for heterozygous black, and for 25% is equal to 100%. Bakit black ang binanggit ko? Dahil kapag capital letter ang ginagamit or nakikita, siya ang dominant trait. Bakit heterozygous naman ang binanggit ko? Dahil ang gene ay combination ng capital letter at small letters. So, the phenotype is for black rabbit. Again, ang genotype letters, phenotype appearance. What is the genotype and phenotype for F2 generation? Now, to solve for F2, ang parent na gagamitin natin ay ang offspring from F1. Since lahat ay black rabbit, mag-cross tayo ng organisms with black rabbit. Tandaan, ito ay F1 generation kaya iba ang letters. Ano kaya ang magiging possible offsprings ng generation na ito? Let's find out. For the first square, each parent will contribute an allele combining capital letter C and capital letter C, so we have the genotype of the first offspring. For the second square, combine capital letter C and lowercase c with superscript ch, so we have the genotype of the second offspring. For the third square, combine capital letter C and lowercase c with superscript ch. Mapapansin nyo na unang sinusulat ang capital letter regardless ng posisyon kung nasa ang row or column siya. Dahil nga ang capital letters are dominant over other letters. For the fourth square, combine lowercase c with superscript ch, lowercase c with superscript ch, and so we have the fourth offspring. For every square, that is equivalent to 25%. Now, tingnan mabuti ang bawat square at alamin kung sino ang magkakahawig, ang mga letra at sino ang magkakaiba for us to determine the genotype. Analyze each square and boxes. So, for the genotype, we have 1 homozygous black, 25%, 2 heterozygous black, 50%, and 1 homozygous gray, 25%. The genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. The phenotype for F2 generation is 75% black rabbit and 25% chinchilla. The phenotypic ratio is 3:1. Find the F1 and F2 crosses given the genotypes for Himalayan and albino. Using the Punnett square, let us solve for F1. crossing the Himalayan and albino. Again, combining the contributed allele or gametes of each parent, so we have lowercase c with superscript h and small letter c in the first square. Next, do the same. We have lowercase c with superscript h and small c. On the third square, we have lowercase c with superscript h and small c. And last, lowercase c with superscript h and small c. Again, every square has 25% for each genotype, so the total is 100%. The genotypes are all the same, with 4 heterozygous white with black spots on balls, nose, and tail. That is 100%. The phenotype is 4 Himalayan, which is equivalent to 100%. Solving for the F2 generation, the P2R parent 2 will be the offspring from the F1 generation. Since we got 4 Himalayan breed, we need to crossbreed this to another Himalayan. It's your turn to solve for first box or square. I'll be giving you 10 seconds. Timer starts now. The answer is lowercase c with superscript h and lowercase c with superscript h. Solve for the second square. Timer starts now. The answer is lowercase c with superscript h and small letter c. Solve for the third square. Timer starts now. The answer is lowercase c with superscript h and small letter c. And for the last box, another 10 seconds. Timer starts now. The answer is small letter c, small letter c. Now, let us determine their genotype and genotypic ratio, and the phenotype and the phenotypic ratio. The genotype for F2 is 1 homozygous white with black spots, 25%, 2 heterozygous white with black spots, 50%, 1 homozygous pure white, 25%, and the genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. The phenotype is 75% Himalayan and 25% albino, and the phenotypic ratio is 3:1.